Hi there guys, I hope you are having a good day. Now, Dillian Whyte versus Deontay Wilder. That is a matchup that Mauricio Sulaiman seems to like a lot. Unfortunately, they are not promoters, but that is a great matchup. But this is what he had to say in response to whether the WBC could be open to an eliminator between Wilder and Dillian Whyte. Yes, that could be a very interesting matchup. Unfortunately, we are not promoters. We are not matchmakers. But this could potentially be a very interesting fight. There is a great talent in the heavyweight division, and I'm sure we are in for a great ride in the coming years. We have so many combinations that can happen. So there we go, that is what Mauricio Sulaiman has explained about Dillian Whyte versus Deontay Wilder. He hasn't gone as far as explaining that he would order that fight, but he has explained that that is a matchup he is interested in. Now, there is this famous 1000 days for Dillian Whyte being in that number 1 slot with the WBC, yet still not getting a world title opportunity, and it almost seemed like Alexander Povetkin was the final hurdle. Had he won that fight, he would have been called as mandatory this year. That of course didn't happen, so the rematch is extremely important for Dillian Whyte. Talking of a Dillian Whyte versus Deontay Wilder fight is not important at the moment, because there is one big fight that Dillian Whyte still needs to have, and that is Povetkin. Last time everyone was talking about him versus Fury, perhaps a mandatory, and look what happened. So this time, the fight is Povetkin. There is no Deontay Wilder versus Dillian Whyte, unless he gets the victory. Obviously Deontay Wilder is ranked number 1, I believe, by the WBC. Let me just check that, let's check it now. 1 second. Yeah, number 1. He's ranked number 1 by the WBC, so there is of course the possibility that where there are no world title opportunities given to anyone like Dillian Whyte, Povetkin or Deontay Wilder, there is the chance that maybe there could be some eliminations. We are getting an interim world title fight between Joe Joyce and Alexander Usyk, and that is merely to keep the heavyweight division moving, because all the belts will be tied up with 2 fights this year, so opportunities still need to be given to those who earn their ranking, like Usyk, I guess, by moving up from a cruiserweight, being champion in that division, then being instated as mandatory as soon as he moves up. It isn't the best rule, I wouldn't say, but still, it is a rule that has been there for some time. So that's a rule within the WBO. He is guaranteed an opportunity, and there is Joe Joyce as well earning his ranking by beating Daniel Dubois. And Dillian Whyte, if he beats Povetkin, he will be interim WBC World Champion once again. If Povetkin wins, then he's WBC Interim World Champion. But they cannot be called as mandatory, they cannot be given an opportunity at Tyson Fury, because he's busy this year. So therefore, who are they going to fight later on in the year? And of course, if Povetkin beats Whyte again, then he is still WBC Interim World Champion, and he could go and fight Deontay Wilder. There is that possibility that that could happen, because who is the winner of Povetkin versus Whyte going to fight in September, October, maybe even November, December? They must have another fight this year, and they cannot just sit on their status. I mean, Dillian Whyte is not going to do that if he wins anyway. He's not going to just wait for an opportunity. So there must be another fight. There is the possibility that the WBC order an eliminator for whoever may become mandatory to the then undisputed champion. Of course, those belts won't stay together for very long, with mandatories being called, so there will be a lot of opportunities given next year, but this year, interim statuses and things like that will keep the heavyweight division moving, because all of the titles are tied up with undisputed. Now, talking about Whyte versus Povetkin, it is going to be interesting to see how Dillian Whyte handles this fight, because the first one, it kind of seemed like Whyte was in control, got caught. That is what we got the gist from, considering the commentary. Now, I don't think that that was the case. I think that Dillian Whyte was in control, but I think that Povetkin was warming into the fight. I don't think it was his intention to start really fast and to go after Dillian Whyte. He was looking to find his way into this contest, and Dillian Whyte looked sharp. He had a great jab, but ultimately it was the one punch that he did not see coming that caused the devastating effect. And watching it back like I have done recently, that was a bad knockout. Now, Dillian Whyte going into this fight will be a bit different. He will adjust his game plan. I think that in the first one, he was showing respect early on. He was feinting. His jab was quite strong. He was stepping in behind it as well, but he was leaving himself open to the uppercut, and Povetkin did time him brilliantly when he landed that shot in the 5th round. Whyte was digging to the body, mostly when he was stepping away, so when Povetkin looked to step out of range, that is when Whyte tried to dig to the body, Povetkin was warming into the fight, forcing Whyte to work continuously, so it seemed like Whyte was having the better of the shots because he was able to pick them, whereas Povetkin was applying the pressure. And that short hook that Whyte throws from his hip that comes up, that is an incredible shot. That dropped Povetkin the second time in that fourth round. Obviously, it was almost like a hook that dropped Povetkin the first time. He doubled up with that right hand, and then it was just a counter hook that dropped Povetkin. It was the right hands that hurt him though, leading up to that first knockdown. And in the fifth round, Povetkin stepped across, dabbing with the left and then going straight for the uppercut. So it was almost like the first left wasn't necessarily even intended to land, but to kind of judge the distance. For Povetkin, then he came straight in with that uppercut, one of the best punches I think I've ever seen in the heavyweight division. It was just brilliantly timed and just perfect in every way. That was not a fluke, that is something that a fighter works on. He was looking for that, he understood that Dillian Whyte was potentially vulnerable to the uppercut, and that is why he looked for that shot. Now in the second contest, I believe that Dillian Whyte will want to find a home for his jab quite early and make everything come off of that, doubling up behind as well, because he's got a great jab, he's got a reach advantage over Povetkin as well. As I said, a great jab and he can double up, going down to the body as well. Whyte wasn't necessarily in control like commentary made it seem last time around. Povetkin did really warm into the fight and suffered flash knockdowns, but it was more like he was stunned than hurt. So I don't think that Dillian Whyte is going to necessarily go after Povetkin, but he doesn't want Povetkin dictating the distance and the pace of the fight, because even though it seemed like maybe Whyte was in control last time around, Povetkin was the one forcing the pace. So I think that in this one, in the second fight, Dillian Whyte will want to try and control him behind that jab and set everything up coming off of that. Going down to the body, stepping in behind it, doubling up, coming around to the side also. And that short hook that he brings up from his waist, the one that knocked out Derek Chisora with one shot. I mean, who has ever done that to Derek Chisora with one shot other than Dillian Whyte? So that shows the kind of power he has in that left. I mean, it dropped Povetkin as well. He knows the power of that left hook. So if he can bring that into the game, then Whyte can get the victory. The big question is, does Povetkin do the same as last time? Does he wait his time? Does he build into the fight and land that punch at some point? Can Whyte get rid of him before that happens? Those are the big question marks, because there is this vulnerability about Dillian Whyte because of what happened in the first fight. Not because Dillian Whyte is chinny, but because Povetkin is so skillful and is able to land that punch when it truly matters. So does Povetkin knock out Dillian Whyte once again in the rematch? If Dillian Whyte fights the same way as last time, then yes, I do believe that Povetkin does get the victory, but I think that if Dillian Whyte is more purposeful with his jab and has mean intentions going in, then I believe that he can start pushing Povetkin back. Povetkin is good coming forwards, but he's not so good when you push him on the back foot. He has to be careful and considered when doing that he doesn't get caught. But I do believe that his jab is stiff and strong enough to set Povetkin on his heels, then maybe that right hand, because leading up to the first knockdown, as I said, it was two hard right hands that actually stunned Povetkin. The left hook just sent him on his way. It was the right hands that actually got him going. Having said that, I do not believe that Dillian Whyte will go in there and fight fire with fire, because again, he could get caught. He doesn't want to really risk that, because he can keep him backed up behind that jab. He can make things not easy because he's in there with a world level operator, but he can break things down and make it simple with what he has to do in each and every round. It's going to be difficult, it's going to be tough, not just because he has that level of opponent in front of him, but because of what happened last time and the worry of it happening again. I do believe that Dillian Whyte has the mindset to not let that bother him, so it will be just down to boxing alone. Obviously there are going to be some thoughts going through his mind, but Dillian Whyte does not strike me as someone who is going to dwell on those type of things. It will come down to boxing and whose game plan works better and who executes it better on the night. That will be extremely important, especially for Dillian Whyte, given what did happen last time around. I believe that last time around what Dillian Whyte was trying to do is be smart and box his way. He was obviously finding those shots that stunned Povetkin and did drop him, but we didn't really see him go after and have a go at Povetkin. This time around things will be different. He will have mean intentions with every single shot that he throws. He will not be looking to score points with the punches like last time, because that is what I believe he was doing, scoring points, winning the rounds. This time around, he will have mean intentions with every single punch that he throws towards Povetkin, and that is going to make for a great fight. Rumble on the Rock. Guys, who do you have winning this fight? Make sure you leave your thoughts in the comments below. Also leave a like and grab that subscribe button. Thanks guys.